Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Little. I'm here today with Michael Acevedo. We're going to be reviewing the second part of a $1,000 deep run that I played recently, and we're going to go ahead and get right to it. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them as we move along. And yeah, let's see how I can mess up today.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much for having me today, Jonathan. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys coming here for this very interesting history review. So yeah, let me know just chat again. Looks like everything's all right. If everything works correctly, sound just like sounds good. Hear me?
Sometimes
Can you see the
everything works
thing?
okay, you know?
Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. So I think we can get it started. Let me just find the final hand review. I think it was the King 7. No, it's not this one. Um, hmm. Okay, the King 7 offs. I think it was this one. Okay, go to the river. Yeah. So this is the final hand that we reviewed. So let's jump into the rest of the hand history. See what happens. Standard opening here with the Queen 9. Oh yeah, I think we also saw this one. So bet size on the flop. I mentioned in the last video that we mostly want to go bigger because of our massive range advantage here, and we want to leverage how many really strong hands we have compared to our opponent here, and potentially go for 3 streets of value with a lot of our, the top of our range. Betting with the middle pair here is also similar situation. If you already, as the Queen 7-2 or Queen 7-3 that we had a middle pair before. Now this is slightly different than that one here. Our very strong Ace X are hands that have over 75% equity and are absolutely crushing the big blind range. This allows us to go for bigger bet sizes, and also this hand is it better bet on the flop because it also gets called by weaker 9x, given we have a high kicker. We also have some nice backdoor equity with the Queen 9 of clubs. And if you are a mid stakes, low stakes player, and you're facing very aggressive opponents, and you have a hand like this. If you think your opponent is going to be very aggressively check raising, you probably not this type of boards. The ace high boards are not boards that people check raises as much as other high cards like queen high or jack high boards. But in this board, you are not going to be check raised as often as you would be in other textures. So, but at the same time, if you think your opponent is going to be very aggressive and check raising you a lot, with any ace or just denying your equity or putting you in tough spots, you're fine just checking back this type of hands. It wouldn't be a too big of a deal. Same thing here. You can also check back a ton of hands like pocket jacks, pocket queens, pocket kings with a high frequency. Okay, go for the bet and then check, and on the river he bets, and we hero call here. I think this is probably a bit loose calling now on the river. We should have well, we're gonna river the 10 sometimes. We're gonna sometimes on the flop bet with our pocket pairs, mostly checking with jacks, tens, queens, and kings, but we can bet those sometimes. We're also gonna be checking back our weaker ace X on the turn. So and we also are gonna have like some better hands in this one, and with the spade comes in the river, I just feel like it's a bit too loose to call this one. Now EV wise is going to be very close to 0 EV, so yeah, you can call this if you feel like your opponent might be over bluffing on the spot, but it seems a bit loose to me to call during this call on the river.
Yeah, I generally agree it's probably too loose. Like you said, we'll have some tens, we'll have some aces. Yeah. I mean, basically, we're kind of hoping he just has some like random float that decided to bluff that also didn't backdoor a flush, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, we actually block those with the Queen 9 of clubs, well, with the Queen of clubs, right? Some Queen Jack or or king queen of clubs that will float the flop sometimes. So yeah,
not a
that's
good call.
also.
Definitely a little bit too loose. I mean, I will tell you that one thing that I do a lot in the games against the very good players is kind of hero call a little bit too much, purposefully, because I think they like to bluff a lot. So I do a lot of hero calling. That said, sometimes it gets me in trouble.
Yeah, that's a pattern that I notice here of here calling probably a bit too much in my opinion. But it's also good at some point, just let them know that they cannot run over you. But at the same time, by over calling a bit too much, that's an exploit that can be counter-exploited very, very easily. If they realize that you've been calling a bit too much, they can just switch gears and just, value bet every time.
Right.
And yeah, that's one of the most difficult things to exploit your opponents, actually, by overcalling. A better exploit is to overbluff.
Well, see, that's the
because
thing is
calling
I think they are over bluffing.
yeah, and they probably are. Generally, that's in most.
Well, if they are over bluffing, shouldn't I be over calling?
Not yet, but they probably are, but not in all of the situations. Like, for example, okay, this is how most online regulars think. There are some spots that they will always take as a bluff, and there are some others that you just almost never take. So it's not that online professionals are very aggressive and they will bluff or try to bluff you in every single opportunity they have. It's more that there are some occurrences that repeat over and over again that, in that scenario, they will always take the bluff. But there are some other scenarios that bluffing is not really profitable or not really great, so they just probably never have bluffs. And even if they're like balanced or good players, whatever, there's just some situations where this happens. So some situations they will just never be bluffing or almost never be bluffing, and some situations they will be heavily bluffing. And it's important to identify which one are those. So not only defending against the aggressive players by overcalling them in most situations, but identifying, okay, this is a situation where he's almost always going to bluff, and so any bluff catch is probably good here. You just go ahead and call him. If you are in a situation where you have a bad bluff catcher, and given the action, it's unlikely for him to have that many bluffs. Then his range is just super strong. You have a bad bluff catcher, and it's better to just give it up.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Okay, so yeah. So with this one, with the short, so we have a very easy call on the pre-flop. On the flop, we're not done betting any ever in one up on board, I don't think. So he checks back, and now I think I like checking again. Checking or betting are both fine plays, but I think since we are so shallow, the stack to pot ratio is so shallow. Wushu might be slow playing here sometimes with flushes, or even checking back here sometimes with something like King 10 or King 9 that he's going to have in his range. So we might end up like value owning ourselves sometimes here. So checking or betting even smaller, like quarter pot. So I don't really like this bet that much. Also, but it will be difficult for us to get like 3 streets of value unless we improve our hand on the river. So I would like to check this one a bit more and maybe start betting when we have something like King 10 at least here.
Okay.
Get a call, and on the river we make the straight, which is great now. And you check now. Well, this is interesting. Now the thing is, okay, with the king in our hand, we actually block him having a king that will hero call us. But at the same time, if he has any hand that has showdown value, which is what seems, given he checked the flop, his range looks a lot like pocket pairs below the king. He might have a few slow plays, but now they are more rare because he will be racing on the turn a lot. I suspect with some hands that benefit from protection, like a small flushes, stuff like that, and he will still slow play his strongest flushes. If we check back the flop with the ace high flush, he's just gonna call and then hope we bet again here. But I actually like checking. I like betting small here with our hand. Like 1/3 of the pot, I think would be good.
Yeah, this is one of those weird spots where I definitely think he is going to check behind a lot, but I think if I bet, like even small, I think he's probably just going to fold a ton. If he's going to fold a ton, I think I would rather give someone who it's become clear is slightly generally aggressive. I'd rather give them a chance to turn it into a bluff, right? If they're just like always going to fold
Yeah.
pocket nines.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think he bluffs with pocket nines or any
Yeah, maybe
sort of
not.
showdown hand here. Nah, yeah, I don't think he is. So if you bet small here, like 1/3, it might look like you have something like 6-8, for example, that is trying to just get cheap showdown type of hand. So that some semi bluff that you bet on the turn and then improve to a pair by the river, something like that looks a lot like with a small bet. And yeah, you definitely like he's checking back here, for example, his king, which is super strong. And yeah, I think we are missing some value here. So I would like to check the turn. And as played, I definitely like betting again on the river, but a small bet size, like 1/3 of the pot should be good.
Okay.
Okay. It's another open here again, and I like small betting with small bet size with this hand is nice. He calls, and the turn pairs the queen. Now the action goes check check, which I think is totally fine. And the river he goes for super tiny bet and you hero, and I like this one a lot. I think when they make it so cheap for you to hero call him, it's a very good call here with the ace high, and you end up
I was gonna say this is a tough one because like I think against like bad players it might actually be way closer to a fold, but against good players there's always gonna have some bluffs in all their ranges to some extent.
Absolutely, yeah. This is why I like it a lot. This is really good because exactly he's gonna be capable of bluffing here, or block betting sometimes with worse. So I like it a lot against a wicked player. Of course, this is always a fault because they always have just a pair, and it's almost always it would be too rare for a wicked player to have a bluff when he bets quarter pot or the tiny that he did here. So I like this call a lot. I think it was really good.
Okay. Yeah, so if you want to crush me, just bet small and you'll win, and I'll call you every time.
No, but that one was particularly good. I really like it. Okay, here, standard check back pre-flop. We don't want to get jammed by the 20 big blinds limit stack, so it's a good check back. Then he min bets, standard play pretty much so far. You call, easy call again. And then the river, he goes for the big bet, like 3/4 of the pot, and then you bluff raise him, which is interesting. It works in this time, but I don't particularly like this bluff. With the queen eight of hearts, we actually block a lot of the bluffs he is going to have. He's also going to have some slow plays on the flop. He definitely will be checking on the flop stuff like ace-2, for example. I think those the lower straight makes a lot of sense to be checked on the flop because he also blocks you having ace highs or a lot of hands. And so if he has something like ace-2, I think he definitely has that in his range. We don't block straights here. We don't block any set that he is also going to be potentially only jamming with this stack that he always jams with pocket fours, pocket threes, and pocket fives pre-flop. But yeah, he might, depending on his strategy, he might be limping some of those if he thinks that you're going to jam sometimes.
So are our bluffs here hands with a 7 or a 6?
Yeah, I think our bluffs are hands with something like a 4 or a 3 with a 2 or with a 6. Or maybe with a 7 would be better bluffs. So definitely not a heart in our hand.
I mean, I think if I had a 4 though, I'm just going to call.
Against this, yeah, but a 4 has a lot of showdown value. But the thing is, as played, your range just has too many pairs. Like you can.
I mean,
you're fine turning someone.
I'm not sure if that's true because I'm probably calling a turn min bet with all of my 7 and 6, right? Without a pair for one big blind into 2.5. So I think I have a lot of unpaired hands here.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, let's actually check this one out. I think another maybe good bluffs could be something like a king 2, for example, type of hand that blocks straights.
Any king high, queen high, jack high with a 7, 6, or 2. I think those are definitely more reasonable.
Exactly. But, those will be pretty good. And yeah, this probably would be pretty good. But this one, I definitely don't like it, and it works though. But I think when he works, he probably mostly folds a bluff here. So, Yeah.
Do you have this one that we can look at?
Oh yeah, I think I have it. Let me see if I have it in this computer. I think I do. What was the flop? No, maybe it's in the other computer. Just
5-4-3.
Okay, I think I saved the sims from the other computer in Dropbox, so hopefully we'll have it here. Sorry for this. I thought I moved everything here, but it's gonna take a few minutes to Dropbox to be ready. Okay, here. So
Sorry, everyone. I want to check out this hand.
Yeah. Where is the Jonathan? Okay, here, Jonathan Little webinar. Yeah, okay, here's the one. This one is gonna take a few minutes because Dropbox is starting.
We'll take a look at it.
Okay,
no problem. But yeah. Let's just remember it, and we'll come back to it.
I can also let me see if I can do remote connection to see here. Yeah, a bunch of stuff. All right, let me see. So Dropbox.
Too many files.
Too many. Yeah. Okay. Here. Got it. So yeah. So he checks, right? We check back, and the turn is the 10 of hearts, and then he min bets, right? And we always call our hand, and the river is the 10 of spades or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he bets like he actually think he has slightly bigger than this, but yeah. So we have Queen 8 as fold here, and our bluffs are, so we have let me see. Yeah, we're bluffing with some stuff like some King X. We're turning some like all of the bluffs are really low frequency. Yeah, we're taking some of the pairs. You see some 9-3
so
here.
Like a bunch of bottom pair type hands. Which
yeah,
is kind of weird. I'm surprised it's not using a bunch of sixes. I guess we just don't like. Why would it use bottom pair instead of a six? It's so interesting, right?
Because I think he has some boats like with 10-3 maybe, stuff like that. Actually checks those. Yeah, this is very interesting. But I think maybe it has to do with the real value of those. Like maybe these bottom pairs, with a weak kicker, like 9-3 here, are not like really valuable. The thing is, we can call here like 40%, so we're still calling enough, and we need to raise some stuff. And let me see, when we raise him here, what is he gonna do? He's going to fold 50%. What is he folding? He's folding yeah, so he's even folding some pairs here, like some 5x, some 7-5. So we raise with a 3 when we can fold a 5. That's fine. And then we also get him to fold like some 5x, and basically that's it. You just get him to fold some 5x.
This is why GTO is hard, because it's like, I mean, right here his range is already kind of small, right? And I mean, like right here, it says he's folding 50% of the time. It's kind of a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So what we are doing here is we have enough like hands to call and like to complete the 1 minus alpha, and then we need to raise with some stuff sometimes. And the stuff that isn't paired isn't as good as a raise because it unblocks his folds basically. So yeah, it's a very interesting hand. But yeah, just if you look at our bluffing combinations, like we are not really interested in in raising with busted hearts. Maybe it's interesting. It likes sometimes with the queen jack, but everything. This is such a weird hand, like not weird hand, like weird part of the game tree. Like it's a branch that doesn't happen all that often. Like limp pot, check back, mean bet, and then the 2 turns, and it's such a weird hand that I think the bluffs are very unnatural for both parties. So yeah, but generally I just wouldn't take hearts here. I will take like some king 2 type of hand or something like that. Yeah.
That kind of thing comes up a decent amount where it's like anytime it's a relatively odd spot, it seems like it's very difficult to know which hands are being bluffed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like situations
exactly.
that come up kind of infrequently.
Yeah,
And,
so there's some situations.
Stuff gets funny.
Yeah. There are some situations where the bluffs are very natural, and there's some situations like this one where the bluffs are very unnatural. And yeah, so it's a weird spot. We're probably over-analyzing it a little bit, but it's probably fine.
Sorry, everyone. This is what I like to do. All right. Next game. Okay, we have to get through these hands today, so we can't take too long for each one.
Yeah, folded here. I think should be a mean raise on the bottom with queen 5 suited. I think this is definitely should be an open.
Well, jack 5 suited, but yeah. That's one of the spots where if I think I'm going to be getting jammed on a lot by either player, I'm probably just not raising. Obviously, you can't know that online, but both players in the blinds were kind of shallow.
Yeah, but even
then, it just doesn't matter, right? Hand's just good enough.
Yeah, exactly. Even then, if you look at exactly like okay, this hand is a GTO open, so unless they are jamming more than GTO, then the open becomes worse. But then we're making more money with our top of range, right? So if they're over jamming here, we start losing money with this hand, but we are winning more when we have aces or kings. We just snap it off, right? So that's why they cannot be overly rejamming against us. And then if they are rejamming correctly, this hand is still an open. So, and chances are they're going to be under jamming here because the tournament life, like for example, there are some jams here that Agushu might not be taking. Although he's very aggressive, so he probably takes them. But even if they're taking the GTO jams, and then the fact is that something is that they also know that you are opening less than you're supposed to be opening on the button, and if you're opening less, they're probably jamming a bit less. So yeah.
Okay. Follow the charts whenever you're shallow stacked is what it amounts to.
This is a very interesting hand. So go for the standard check call on the flop, goes check, and then the rear brings the 5. So we still have just a pair of jacks and a pair of 9s. And you go for the block bet in this one. And well, you get raised on. And I just with this hand, I will never go for the block bet. I think if any, I might go for the check raise with this hand. But not with the block bet because the problem with this type of block bet when the board changes is that now his range is still on cap, right? So if he checks back here and the river is something like 5 of clubs, that is completely different because the board doesn't really change as much. Right, and now his range is very capped after he checks back the turn. Now, but in this one, that the diamond changes the structure of the board, and now he's going to have some flush draws that he checked back on the turn, and now he has flushes, right? And so I will really just check, and depending on his bet size, check call, check raise, or check fold, but not try to block bet this one.
Do we have any block bets here? I guess the answer is just no. Because he's uncapped, right? To some extent.
Yeah, exactly. He's uncapped. We this is again a complex spot, but I think we mostly want to just bet big when we have a jack or a straight or diamonds, or and then slow play some stuff. Like for example, if we have a queen jack, I'll probably check one more time and let him bluff, and then we check raise that. So we want to have like. Of course, some hands that are good to lead here. So I think for 2/3 of the pot, we can lead with any flush, any straight, and any jack, right? And probably any queen as well. Well, not any queen, but the strongest ones, like king, queen, maybe queen 10, we can still lead. And then we check stuff like our weak 9x or weak queen x, and then we check stuff like this that we can potentially check raises a bluff sometimes. But yeah, block betting here is strange because of the what happened that the board's texture changed, and now he can still have some hands that will be raising here. Okay. So this one, I think we should just jam with the ace jack. The thing with offsuit ace x is that they play very badly post flop, right? And you just have, you jam here, he's gonna call you off with every single ace he has, right? He's gonna call you with ace 2 offsuit probably here. He's gonna ace 4 is 3 offsuit. So all of the offsuit ace x he's gonna call. He's going to call with a bunch of like queen jack, for example, and stuff. And yeah, so if you want to trap here, it's better to trap with the suited version of the ace jack.
Okay.
Bet it down.
Let me
this
just
is a good call.
I want to look at a chart real quick. So give me just 1 second. I want to look at 15 big blind chart just to make sure it looks kind of like this. I mean, you probably have it on your end. You can just pull it out. Take a look at our general strategy.
Yeah, I have some. Let me see.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, we're just open jamming all the ace x to some extent, right? All the offsuit ace x.
Yeah, all the offsuit ace x.
All right, need to follow my own chart. That's what I have on my chart too. Okay, so offsuit ace x are jams. The other ones are limps or raises.
Yeah, these ones exactly the suited ones are good limps or raises. Exactly.
Just because they flop better, right?
Yeah, exactly. You just flop much better than you just jam these ones. You just cash on your equity right away. It's kind of a disaster when you limp with ace jack offsuit and he checks back and then the flop comes, something like 6, 7, 5, and he has queen 5 that he would have folded, and now he's not there folding, right? So.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, this one, this is a good call. That maybe a lot of the poker coaching students might be surprised. I don't know. Because
can you go back to the beginning of the hand so we can take a look at it? So he just open jammed, right?
Yeah, you open jam and you call it off. Yeah, this is a good call. This is definitely your calling range. If you're not calling queen jack, you're just allowing him to just steal the blinds way too often here. Particularly given how shallow is the small blind, so he doesn't have to worry about too much about seed Arwin here, calling him off, waking up with a big hand. So it's mostly worried about you. So I think he's gonna be even jamming even wider than Wicks than he would normally. So
right, because it's almost like he's not jamming for 18 big blinds here. He's jamming for 18 big blinds, whatever, 2/3 of the time or something.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he's jamming only for 10 big blinds. I can see that, so his range is definitely going to be wider here. It's a really good call. I like that. So that's what I marked that one. This 8-7 limp is totally fine here, and you start betting the flop. I like the bet sizes, the bet sizing too.
Well, should we just be going minimum in general in this spot? Just limping and then betting minimum every time we're going to bet?
Yeah, that's probably the standard play here for most players, just mean bet. But I think, when the flop has an ace and a high and a middle and a low card here, like 9 and 5, you can get away with betting 2/3 here if you want to develop your strategy like that. But for the most part, in general, I'll just mean bet my betting range here. But I like it. I think it's good. So it's not bad or anything. Then on the turn, you keep barreling, and I like it. I think it's a really good play. Again, you have a great hand, a great, semi-bluff here, and it works through. So I like this one because I think it was really good too.
I mean, it's like in general, I found that the best, some of the hands are just like automatic bluffs are junky draws that cannot win at showdown that still have equity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that one was. I mean, sometimes it's just obvious, like 8 high with backdoor flush draws. Like, okay, we're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Those natural bluffs are they more the easiest to find. Like the obscure ones in the odd spots are the ones that everyone struggles. Like even myself, I will struggle to find the correct bluffs, and that's also very good when you are playing against players who they are not working with GTO holders, or they are not as as involved in the study of the game. Because when you find a spot and you're like, man, I cannot really think of many bluffs he can have here. If you can't, that means that your opponent probably cannot find the correct bluffs either. And so it's very easy to make overfalls in situations like that one, where it's very unnatural to find the bluffs. You're like, man, what is he bluffing here? Like if you just can't find it, it's very unlikely your opponent will also be able to find them himself. So okay, here he big blind 3 bets out of 35 big blinds or something like that, and we fold the ace-8 suited. And I think this is way too much. We should always call this 3 bet on the bottom with this hand.
This is something I think I generally just probably a little bit too nitty at, where I raise and they 3-bet out of the blinds, and I guess I view this as kind of big, but in reality it's not like it's that big. It's just a normal 3-bet, and obviously 3-betting with more than just the nuts, right? So yeah, too nitty by me.
Yeah,
I need to be happier just seeing the flop.
Yeah, exactly. So all of these hands, you can even call it with king 4 suited.
Yeah, I mean, if you can call with king 4, obviously you can call with ace 8 by a mile. So big mistake.
Exactly. So yeah, this one.
Too nitty. Don't be too nitty pre-flop. It's like I'm too nitty pre-flop, but then whenever I see the flop, I just don't fold.
All right. This one, okay. So you go for the flop c-bet is good again. I think it was a fine bet size. I probably still bet just 1/3 here. Because what you're trying to do here is the small blind. His range is going to have like pocket pairs and broadways for the most part, and then a few suited type of hands, right? So when you bet small here, you just set yourself up to bet again on the turn at a lot more. So you just keep his range wide. You bet small here, and you allow him to continue with like pocket 7s, pocket 5s, stuff like that. And then on the turn, you bet 2/3, and then you put all of those hands in a terrible situation. It's stuff like king 10 as well that he will call. Then you bet again big, and then you just put him in a very difficult situation now. So,
okay. Is the plan to continue barreling this turn a lot?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
on any turn a lot, even with this hand that has like no showdown value or no equity at all.
Yeah, this is a great hand to do that with in this particular situation now. And a lot of people misses this bluff with this, 9 highs or 8 highs in Broadway type of boards.
And I mean, the reason we're bluffing here just because we don't really have that many obvious bluffs.
Yeah, our range is really strong here. We're opening from, I think, UTG, UTG. And when the small blind calls here, his range is very well defined. And yeah, it's just, our range smashes this very well. And we don't have to go very big on the flop, but we can still bet big on the turn, like maybe even pot or over bet sometimes, depending on the run out. And then we can even just jam the river a lot. And this is a great hand to do that with, yeah. So he calls on the 6. Now the thing is that a lot of ace X are chopping, right? If he has something like ace 5 suited, now he's not worried about ace jack, right? But at the same time, if we have ace king or ace queen or pocket queens or pocket aces, which we have in our range a lot, we want to stack him off now if he has an ace. So what we want to do here is bet again big enough to set ourselves up to just jam. So betting like 2/3, I think, can accomplish that. Yeah, we bet like 2/3 or 75% of the pot, and then we just jam the river. And so I will bet again on the turn. And also,
well, so I have a question. Are we going for a small bet on the turn, or are we going for like small, medium bet and then all in on the river? And also, would we rather be betting this hand or a hand like Jack 10?
Oh, I think I'll already bet this one. I'm planning to triple barrel with this hand. I don't know. Let me see if I have the GTO sim for this one.
Like in my mind, naturally, I'm thinking I probably want to be betting here with stuff like Jack 10 as opposed to this hand. Or even like King 10, maybe. I mean, obviously King 10 wins sometimes, but
Ace Queen.
I feel like I would have just naturally given this one up.
Yeah, so do you feel like what? Like you're not really giving this one up? No,
I feel like I would give this one up if I was just playing this on my own and trying to pick what I would do,
Yeah. So Solver likes big bet size and small bet size combination here. Can do either. Same with the hand. Personally, I like going smaller for the most part, unless with this type of hands, because then, I'm going small here, and then I'm also going small with most of this, and then I like to polarize a bit more on the turn. Against big blind, I'll always go for the bigger bet size here because the big blind range is wider now. Bet small, he calls, and then on the turn 6 of diamonds, I think, checks. So here, yeah, we're going for like 3/4 of the pot, something like that. Yeah.
Well, so funny enough, it actually does bet King 10 and Jack 10 and 10-9 and 9-8. So it's betting all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the like prime bluffs here for us. Yeah.
Well,
and then you see that this Queen 10 and King Jack, all of these hands start to check now.
Well, like King Jack has the most showdown value. Well, so look, take a look how it's betting with King 10, but not betting with King 9, right? And that's because King 10 has a draw, right?
Exactly. King 10 also has a draw, but King Jack has more showdown value. Exactly. Right. And at the same time, you know, all of these King highs are not that great bets, because we are our plan is to triple barrel a lot here and make him fold when he has something like King Queen a lot, which is going to have a lot, or he has something like King Jack himself, so he want to bet and then make him fold that by the river. So yeah, if he calls, if we bet again here and he calls, I think the river was King of Hearts, and he just goes check. So looking at this, if we bet again, he calls, and the river needs the King of Hearts. He checks. We just jam a lot here with 10, 9, 7, 8, 7, all of these hands. 9, 8. Interestingly enough, we only block with the hearts combination, and that is because, for example, when we have 9, 8 of spades, diamonds, when we don't have, okay, the thing is it has something to do with the King of Hearts and the Queen of Hearts being on the board, because now it's when we have hearts, we block him having ace 9. He doesn't have ace 9 of hearts. That's or ace 8 of hearts. But with these other combinations, he can have those, right? He can have some of those, and the same for the queen or the king. Okay.
Well, so given this is very, very difficult to know, right, when you're playing in game, how do you go about bluffing in these spots? You just like essentially end up bluffing all the time, but you see here it's only bluffing whatever it is, 15% of the time or something, right?
Yeah, for example, this is one of those spots where regulars would probably be overly bluffing, right? Because it's very, very easy to just take all of your combos here and just, you know, just jam every single time. So yeah, this is, for example, one spot where if you have the ace, you probably have to close your eyes and call, right? Because regulars will probably take all of these combos and go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's very difficult to just be like, yeah, given these weird blocker effects with the king and the queen, I'm going to take my, nobody does this in game. It's so difficult, right? So what you can do is, well, if you want to really be balanced, you're like, okay, I probably shouldn't be bluffing every single one of my 10 highs, 9 highs, and 8 highs. So you can be like, okay, I will check this like 50% of the time. But it takes a lot of discipline, and not many people can be that disciplined and be like, I probably have too many of this. They just probably go for it. It's like, this is a good bluff, the 8-7 or whatever, and just gonna go for it. Now, if he goes as played, that was check, and they're the King of Hearts, he checks, and I think we have to bluff again. Let's see, so checks. No, actually gives up. So
well, it's probably giving up here because it's just so easy for the opponent to have an ace or a king or a queen, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now we're of course evaluating with any ace now, but yeah, and now the thing is that also he's never gonna fold. A king, probably never a queen as well. It will be difficult for us to get him to. And our bluffs is interesting.
Well, essentially he's betting like pocket tens. I'm very surprised it's betting tens. And nines.
Yeah,
it's weird. GTO is hard, man.
Yeah, the thing with tens, at least, is that it blocks the straights. But yeah, it's just, again, these are some obscure situations in the river, and it's very complex. Yeah, but the main takeaway from this one is that this type of hands, your 8 highs, 10 highs, 9 highs, are good triple barreling hands in these situations.
Just when you should have all the good ace X and your opponent should have fewer of them, basically.
Yeah, and for most part, people don't take those triple barrels. Most recreational players and even most low stake regulars, so I don't see them take them as often. Okay, this one, easy call on the flop, checks. Not sure why I marked this one because I think it's well played. So, yeah.
I guess the question is, do we need to bluff at that point, at any point? And I think the queen high just wins enough, right?
Yeah, it's so close. It's super close, but I think yeah, he just wins often enough, and yeah,
Okay.
I think it's fine. Um, okay, here we jam against small blind with the ace suited, and I think we should just call in position. Again, this hand plays so well, and his bet size is so ridiculously tiny. This is given us such a good price to just call in position and play our hand. Similar situation here. Let's look at the chart. We button. How
It's
what
probably another one of those
they
examples where you're probably supposed to call, yet I just take it
yeah,
and shove all of it.
exactly.
Because it's a similar spot to like that chart you even have up right now, where you can
Yeah,
tell the hands
exactly.
that are jamming are like the ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, but it's flatting all the other ones. The suited ones.
Yeah, so against small blind here, like, see all of this portion of hands, they are so great to just take the flop with. And yeah, just rejam. You can rejam the suit at the bottom, or, the suited ace X, and then the pairs. Yeah, so this is just a great hand to take the flop. And
Okay.
I mean,
We get there on.
yeah.
It's good to get there every once in a
Okay.
while.
Yeah, it's the only way to win tournaments. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, how good you play. It's a combination of playing well and running well,
I mean,
for
someone
sure.
emailed me the other day, like, how do you know if you're getting lucky or outplaying everyone in tournaments? And I mean, you have to realize to some extent when you win a tournament, you're going to get lucky here and there, right? I mean, you just are. You're either going to get hit by
Yeah,
the deck or you're going to spike on people or something good's going to happen for you to beat people.
yeah,
And that's
exactly. For you to
okay.
win a tournament or get deep, yeah, yeah, getting lucky is a massive part. Actually, you could be putting in the work and just knowing every spot, and you just don't run good. You're not gonna win. Doesn't matter. Like, but the thing is, if you don't study, if you don't put the time, to work in your game, then you're only relying on running good. The thing is, you have to do both. You have to play well, and also, wait for the times that you're gonna just run extremely good and just take down the tournament. But at the same time, minimize your own mistakes and all of that is of course key. Okay, this one I think I mark it because it's good. I like the three bet from the king five suited from the small blind. It's a good three bet, and you go for it again. Um, and with this hand, this is interesting because yeah, are you ever jamming at this stack depth any hands from this from the small blind here?
Well, I mean, I suppose if I am supposed to be doing this would be it, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is a good hand. Exactly. This is a good hand to when you defend the small blind versus button 30 maybe. Yeah, so this is a good hand to do that with. Yeah, Pats is 35, 36. This is so they're slightly deeper than 30. So let's see 40. With 40, you are supposed to. Yeah, you can even jam sometimes here with 40. So
Yeah, I mean, this is
I
something I'm
was
probably
wondering.
not doing a ton of either. And this is something I would just like literally never do in live poker unless I'm playing against really, really good players. And so
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
in live
probably
poker
why
is
I shy
quite
away from
fun.
this type of thing in general. But I mean, I know these are the hands you're supposed to be jamming. Like these and the low suited aces are like good ones
Yeah,
to jam for 30-ish big blinds.
yeah. Is your plan to three bet call?
Well, I think I flat called here. Did I flat call or did I three bet?
Oh, you flat call actually. Oh, no, you three bet. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, if I three bet, I'm not
So if
folding. I can already tell you I'm not folding.
okay, so if you're not folding, you might as well just shove because now you're giving him the opportunity to flat call you in position, and ace jack off just played very very poorly post flop.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe yeah. If you were like he has 34 big blinds, so it's kind of in the middle, but I still like jamming a little bit more. But the activating is also good. Like as long as you're not just mostly calling there, I think I like it. It's good. Call against the three bet, and here Pats. I think he is going to be unlikely to be over bluffing here, and 9-10 suited. This is a stack that just plays very poorly post flop. Like if you were slightly deeper, I like the call every time. But this stack depth with 10 high is very difficult. Like I will call. I think I'm at least Jack 10 suited. 19 suited is a bit loose. I think at this in this when he three bets you at this from this stack size at this stack depth, this stack depth to that bet size, it's very unlikely that he will have that many bluffs. And then when you flop forward, you have to go with it, right? Check calling is fine. Check checks. Now you make a very good block betting here, and I like this one a lot. I think it's really good. You get him to showdown jacks for what's this bet? Super tiny bet on the grid. I like this one a lot. I think it's really good. So yeah, I think when he three bets you here, this out of that stack, calling with high cards is much more valuable than having a suited hand, because the pot is so big. This aspect you made the call here. The SPR is it's less than 1.5 or something, so it's very small.
Yeah, I think this may be something that's coming because of live poker. Again, I hate to keep blaming it on live poker, but like when you're playing live, you can very often just like make some sort of a read on your opponent post flop. But obviously that's not going to happen in live poker at all. And like you said, maybe Paz has no or fewer bluffs there than normal, given his stack size was pretty shallow already. So maybe, I mean, look, I really don't like folding the suited connectors pre-flop, especially when it's 3.7 big blinds into a 14 big blind pot or whatever it was. But
yeah,
I mean, I guess from out of position, that's just what you're supposed to do, especially when the opponent's range is like obviously strong, right?
Yeah, but with these stacks, with your what mostly is going to happen is you're going to have to make a pair and then go with it. And the problem is that 10 high doesn't make very high pairs and just is dominated way too often. And even if you make a pair, like sometimes it's not even be top pair. Like sometimes the flop is going to be like king 10x, and then it's just. Yeah.
I mean, any pair is good enough there, but a lot of pairs aren't great.
Yeah. Okay. Here we just call, and I think this is a good hand again to put in the tier from the big blind. Now you don't have to do it every time. Again, all of those charts show that this is probably a mixed frequency. But yeah, my guess is that you probably are almost never taking the tiers from the big blind, and I think you should be more aggressive from the big blind, and just because if you're not betting these type of hands often enough, people just know that they get to realize equity, and they will ramp up the opening range from the late position. So if here regularly from UTO perspective, he probably should be opening like 30, 35, 34% hands, and maybe he can go up to 40 or even opening like a 45% range if he knows that the blinds or the big blind is not going to be betting him and denying his equity often enough. So there are many hands that he just gets to open more often. Yeah. And again, we have ace high here, and we're just folding on the pair board. This happens several times where we are not defending our ace highs in pair boards, which I think is definitely important. At least calling the flop once, because check call here, and then the turn is gonna go check a lot, or you might spike the ace or the 7, and you just can keep going. So yeah, just over folding there a bit. This is good. Not sure what I marked this one, but I think this is good. Okay. Yeah, so interesting because we check call here against a bigger bet size. Well, we do have a gut shot, right, and we do have the backdoor hearts, but for me, it is an even more natural call. The a7 on the queen 4-4. That this one is super natural to see the call. So you're capable of just check calling here with the ace highs. Well, you have a few more equity here, but
this is just like an obviously better hand.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's just for me, it's a super similar situation. It's just and the bet size is much bigger here, right?
Yeah, I guess. Maybe in my mind here we have a very obvious, like we're going to be able to call on a lot of turns.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I don't know. I mean, this hand just clearly has way more equity, I think. At least way more playability. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just looking for easy playability on the turn in the river, but that's clearly not a good enough reason.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it is that. You should also think in your immediate hand strength, and in those pair boards, ace high is typically very high up in your range. If you're folding those, you're just folding too many hands, and the bet is so small that it's super profitable for them to stop, like for a min bid, 1.4 big blinds every single time. I think this one is well played. Beside, I don't know, not sure again why I marked this one. Okay, here we limp. I think it's fine. This one, go for the flop bet, and now get the turn and you keep betting, I think is good. I like it. Betting again small here. And then you bet 6 big blinds here. I think we should probably pot it because he either has a king high, an ace high, or a jack, right? Or air, right? So if we bet small, he just folds his air every time, and he calls us when he has a hand like that. Yeah, so this is his range is unelastic. I think he just calls the same hands and folds the same hands regardless of your bet size. So if you pot it here, you just make more from the times that he does happen to have something to call.
Yeah. Do you think we should even go like bigger? Because I mean, I guess they're gonna have a whole lot of ace high type hands as well that may not call a bigger bet.
Yeah, the problem is once you start going over pot here, yeah, well, you could like it's not by any means gonna be bad or GTO wise or anything, but I just think that in general, I would like to just I'll probably just do the same with the jack or the queen. So I wanna if you start overbetting with the jack, then you get into trouble because sometimes he has the queen, right?
Right.
So I will just look for the bet size that I can use when I have the jack or the queen and just spot it, and also bluffs.
Okay. So the same bet size with jack or queen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It works well. I like it's like betting bigger there. This is this should be an open, I think. Now button is very shallow, but you are very deep stack against the big blind, and I think this is a good hand to play against the big blind.
Okay.
Okay. This bet is interesting. I actually think it's fine. Okay, we turn to pairs now. Keep betting big, and yeah, I like it. I think this is really nice. Again, you are betting big on the turn. You could also overbet here or pot it, but you have the right sense of what's happening here. Just betting big the turn, and then when he calls, and you just jamming here because you're gonna have again a lot of bluffs as well. The busted flushes and stuff, and you're also and you wanna put a lot of pressure when he has 10, and I think he just calls you with 10 every time.
I mean, so, something that I'm really definitely not the best at is figuring out spots to overbet on the turn. And the times to overbet the turn are basically when you just have really good made hands and the board is draw heavy and you have like range and nut advantage, right?
Yeah, so here, for example, when he just check calls the flop, he very rarely has 10-3, 3-4, 10-4, pocket 3s, pocket 4s,
like he has a lot of marginal made hands.
Right? Exactly. So he's just check calling here with a weak 10 or a 4, or a 3 or some over cards, right? So when the turn gets here and then you, on the other hand, are going to have stuff like this, 7-3, that you bet on the flop and now you have 2 pairs, right? And you also are going to be betting some gut shots that just got there. And so generally your range here is just massively stronger. And now he also has draws, right? And a pair and a draw, stuff like that. And you just want to charge him when he has that. And also when you have something here like 8-9 of spades, you just want to overbet and just call it off when he check raises you, because you're already built the pot. So this is a great spot for me to just put in the orbit, because even you just have so many strong hands, and the best he can have is like 10-7 for the most part, and he's very small portion of his range. Yeah, but it's really good. I like the river jam. I think it's really good.
I mean, it would have just been like a better river jam though if the pot was a little bit bigger, right?
It was. Sorry, what?
It would have been a better spot if the pot was just bigger going to the river. So I could have then jammed for less than, or pot size or slightly less than pot size or something like that.
No, I think it's totally fine. But yeah, that also helps when you bet bigger on the turn. You also have a more kind of pot size bet on the turn. Now he called you with the 10-6 because he also blocks the straights. I think it's a good call. But when you make it smaller in the turn and then you overbet the river, you give him a better shot at folding a 10 by the river as well. When you make it bigger in the turn, he's never folding a 10. And so you're setting up yourself to also get called on the river.
Okay.
Let me see what happened here. So, okay, so let's go back to the action here. So this goes 4 ways, right? We check the flop. I like that. I think it's good. Turn 2 pair. Now we bet big. I like it. I think it's good. And we should, so which he check calls. Yeah, he check calls. And the river brings the 10 of diamonds, checks, and we bet small now. This is interesting. I think, do you think you want to have 2 bet sizes here, a small and a big one?
I mean, I would have thought so. I'm not exact. I guess the thing is, this is either like one of the worst hands to bet big with, or one of the, strongest hands to bet small with. I don't know.
I think with this structure, I'll probably bet like 2/3 of the pot with my range. That is betting. I'm not sure. I don't know if I run this one. Probably did, but let me see. Ace 9-5. No, I did not run this one because it was multi-way. So what I'm thinking is in this spot, I just want to bet 2/3 of the pot when I have a straight, when I have a flush, when I have 2 pairs. And yeah, just with my betting range here and my bluffs and whatever, Boris already scared enough that if you're bluffing, he has a pair, single pair is going to be in a lot of trouble as well. But at the same time, he's also on cap, and he's going to have diamonds himself. So, and he does go for the rear check raise when you bet small, and you decide to hero hit, and I think this is definitely way to lose. We should be looking to block flushes here, and yeah, like this is not even one of our strongest hands. This is just a bluff catcher, and not a really great one after he check jams the river.
Yeah, I can probably tell you what's happened here. Is this guy has check raised me multiple times now, I think. And not that there's a good reason to. I'm sure he's been doing it with logical hands. Or, in my mind, maybe he just thinks I fold way too much to the river raises. Or he thinks maybe I have a very obvious ace.
And I'm just that's exactly actually what your hand looks like, exactly like an ace. But at the same time, so what hands is he check calling the turn against your big bet size that don't have showdown value, that he wouldn't bet himself, right? Because if he had something like 8-7, for example, for a bluff that he didn't get there, now he's bluffing, he probably would have bet himself a lot because the flop was checked when the ace with the ace high. Now the turn is a king. If he has 8-7, he probably should be leading the turn a lot, right? So what hands is he really check calling now that he can check raise? If you're betting this is small here, he can probably even check raise here with ace-10 for value, right? Because now your hand strength is very obvious towards a weak ace, which is what it looks like you have here. So he can check jam with a straight. Now it will be weird for him to check call with queen jack here. So maybe a straight is not a big possibility. But what I'm thinking that his range looks like a lot is exactly ace-x with a diamond. It's like a lot of the time, like, oh no, this is exactly, and this is exactly what he had. I'm probably also biased because already saw the hand history, right?
Well, I don't remember what he had, but I think if I'm calling here, it probably needs to be with a queen or a jack of diamonds, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you need to have at least diamond blocker, because and I think he can also when you bet here, like you will also be so sick if he's doing this for value with king 10, for example, which he might and he can, and that's why also I like betting 2/3. You bet 2/3 and then he check jams and you're like, okay, you just make your life so much easier again by not splitting your range and
right. So if you bet 2/3, I fold this, right, to a jam.
Yeah, exactly. You bet 2/3 jams because now, but now that you bet small, you're like, oh yeah, you know, it's spot, but my range looks weak. It looks like I have an ace. I have 2 pair. Maybe it's one of the strongest hands I can have here in this line. And you start like leveling yourself into calling here. But if you really think about like what really no shot on hands does he have that is now bluffing? Like, is he turning a king into a bluff? But you block a king, right? What is he? Is he calling the turn with a 9? No, probably not, right? You bet like 80% pot.
Yeah, you're
So
definitely right on this one.
yeah.
I mean, I find myself occasionally in these levelly spots, and not that I'm trying to get in these levelly spots, but it probably doesn't even exist really, and the guy's just playing his range as he should play his range, you know? And, I mean, because just in the few hands we reviewed here, I remember him, check raising me on the river, or raising me on the river multiple times, and that starts to get to you, I think, after a while. Whenever the guy raises you, I don't know, a third of the time you get to the river. And,
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes me wonder if the players have perhaps just thought that they found a big way to exploit either me or the whole player pool, and they're just doing it every time. Because, I mean, getting raised on the river is awful, pretty much all the time. And maybe that's how the guy's been crushing, is he just raises every river. Or maybe that's just what happened in this short sample size, and I leveled myself into calling for no good reason.
Yeah, exactly. There's also, why in some situations like this one, it's better to kind of merge your range and be like, okay, I'm only using a bet size, 2/3 of the pot, and I'm betting with everything, straights, flushes, and 2 pairs, sets, whatever, for that bet size. Because you can put like all of those value hands there. Like, you can even take something like ace queen, like, I'm go for 2/3 there, and you still go for value, right? So you just have this whole range that is using a single bet size. Maybe using too many bet sizes puts you in this leveling spot, because then you start to second guess, if you're really just racing because I bet small.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the nice thing is that when you do bet small, you will induce bluffs at least sometimes, right? But, I mean, still, that's not really where you want to be. You don't really want to be facing the check raise, even if you think the guy may be check raising even slightly more often than normal.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we've been going about an hour. I don't know how long you have today, and I don't know how many hands we have left.
I think there aren't that many hands left.
All right. So you want to go ahead and finish this?
I'm fine to keep. Yeah, we can just finish this one in one go.
Okay, great.
Okay, this one we just fold, and I think this is probably final table or close, or I think this is probably final table or something like that.
Yeah, I think we're probably at final table here. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so look, we actually are at the final table here, and they pay 3 people.
3 people only. Okay.
And so this was $1,000 buy-in, but third place was 6,000. Okay. So min cash is 6 buy-ins somehow. So first was 12K, second was 9K, third was 6K.
Okay, only 3 players cash. Okay, definitely makes more sense for you to just fold in this hand definitely. Also, he's going slightly bigger than usual to 3.75. Regular, I'll just be calling, but because there's ICM involved here, I think this folding is totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, we see Hurricane and whatever this Wisp guy here is. They're much shallower than me, right? So I think my main concern here is just outlast these 2 guys without doing anything absurd.
Since you're going for since there is ICM pressure here, you could also just jam. I love this A6 offsuit on the small blind here. Let me see the.
Well, so I have a question. Is there actually much ICM pressure on the guy in 4th place, like clearly in 4th place? Because he needs to get a double up between now and when we get in the money for the most part, right? Like, he's not just going to sit here and be a nit and get in the money every time.
No, but with 25 big blinds, he still gets tons of play. And there's this guy with 10 big blinds, right? He's in 4th place. But there is still some ICM. You can also just go for the raise. But I think limping is not, at least limping is the worst option of jamming or raising. Like, GPV wise, if you look at this again, this is a hand that you can raise or can limp. That's totally fine. But this guy, for the same reason you folded King 5 against this guy here, he should be folding a lot of mediocre hands that will call otherwise against you. And so when you're in an ICM situation, you have a big stack against a short stack. You can pretty much take all of your limping range and all of your hands that are mixed strategies and just raise them every time, because raising is now much more profitable because you have a lot more full equity, right?
Yeah.
So
I guess I get that. I'm just kind of surprised that you were thinking that this guy is under lots of the payout pressure, because like imagine he had 12 big blinds, right? Obviously that's different, but if he had 12 big blinds, then like he clearly is gonna have to get a double up before he gets in the money. So it's almost like there is pressure, but it should not actually be a lot.
Yeah, but his stack is still worth a lot of money. We can actually let me see in ICM.
I mean, I'm sure it's gonna tell you that just jamming is fine, but yeah. Okay, cool. I guess maybe I'm thinking this guy's stack matters slightly less than it does, I guess.
Like if we just let's put the stacks here. So big stack has 97. Next place is 56. Then 25. Sorry, then you have 49. Yeah, 49. And then 25 and 11 big blinds. And the prices are...
So it was 12, 9, and 6. Or maybe it was 13, 9, and 6 or something like that, whatever. Something like this. Very funny payout structures.
Yeah. So let's see.
So he owns basically double the prize pool of... Can you move that on top of the screen? Just so I'm getting it in my recording. Can you move that window to the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, tell me what do you see from this? What are you thinking this is telling you?
Okay. So your stack is worth 6,000 or 6.21, right? Or the total price. So 6,000, 23% of the price pool. And his stack with 25 is worth more than one half of your stack.
Yeah,
and it's worth
but like not a lot.
3 times. But it's worth 3 times as much as this guy who has 11 big blinds, right? So his stack right here.
Well, no, slow down. So slow down. So the guy with 11 big blind stack is half of the guy of 25. Because it's 6.3 to 13.5.
Yeah. Right? Sorry.
So it basically goes double, 1.8x.
Yeah, but what I mean is the total price pool or the total price pool his stack right now is worth 3.6k.
Yeah.
If he busts, it's worth 0.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I get this, but yeah. I guess what I'm saying is that he is still like him and the shallow stack are just way more likely to bust than me or the other big stacks. If we just like play this out normally, you know what I mean? So because of that, I would think that this guy does need to get in there and play a little bit. Because if he does get a double up, he's going to go from $3,600 in equity to $6,300 in equity. So it's almost like there's minimal ICM pressure compared to a normal spot.
No,
because if he doubles up, he like actually almost doubles his equity. Not quite. There's a little bit of pressure, but it's close. It's not like he goes from 3,600 to 5,000. You know what I mean? Like then for sure the ICM pressure is very relevant. Like right here for the short stack, if he doubles up, he basically doubles his equity. So there's almost like there is no ICM pressure because he's screwed.
Yeah, exactly. For the short stack, yes, but this guy, okay, for example, if the distance, the way I see this is that the distance from where he is right now, as this guy has 97 big blinds, and his stack is worth $8,000, and his stack is worth 2.6k, and he only has 25 big blinds. So risking busting and giving up of this feels, at least for me, feels like it's a lot. And so I all feel ICM pressure, like not probably huge, but I will be feeling the ICM pressure. I'm definitely be willing to make some tight folds. For example, here, if you go for 2.5x with a lot of hands, there are many hands here that he should be defending. That let me see, big blind 25. So here he's supposed to call with a bunch of stuff like this, right? And I think if you're 3.5x, you just put a lot of pressure in these high-low cards, a lot of them, and you just get a ton more folds. And I'll be, yeah, I think you will see a lot of stuff like this, like the king five that you folded before. A lot of stuff like this. If you can get a lot of folds like this, just improves the equity of your DB of your hands a lot. And a lot of these hands are mixed strategy, as we saw before. So the general strategy that I take here is just in general, okay, it's a general view for an ICM situation where you have a big stack and the big blind has a shorter stack. Mostly play a raise or fold strategy. Like even actually not, you can go super exploited and just limp a few traps and a few suited hands that you don't want to be jam on, and then just raising a bunch of hands like this that you're fine raise folding. So yeah, just this is a general strategy that I take. If you have a big stack against shorter stack in the blind situation, raise a lot and not limit that many hands.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. As the big stack, you want to be applying pressure. So now when Pads is limping, do you think he is limping mainly because he doesn't want to raise and get 3-bet?
Exactly. So this is a situation again.
Because now the short stack's gone, right? So now there actually is. So look, compared to the previous spot, now I think there is a ton of ICM pressure on the short stack, because now him and me and Pads are like getting closer to the same stack. You know what I mean? Like before I had double him. So now there would be a ton of ICM pressure in my mind, like way more than in the previous spot.
Yeah, the thing is at the same time, it's okay. People are used to play only raise or fold or stuff like that, but you can limp, right? So 27, 25 big blinds is still quite a lot if you develop a limping strategy for a final table. And so for the same reason that Patsy is limping here, we saw Pequeño, this guy should also be playing a limping strategy, just, taking flops a lot and not being on only raise or fold mode, because that will severely limit the number of hands that he can play and take flops. So that's why Patsy is also limping here, because if he raises and Wishu makes it 10 or 12 big blinds, he's in a horrible spot. And even if he has something really good like King Queen suited, he will be in a horrible spot. If he calls and he flops top pair and he starts to see a lot of pressure from Wishu, he will start to feel all of the ICM pressure. So limping here, what can Wishu do? Wishu can make it like 4 or 5 big blinds maybe, and maybe he doesn't even have those bet sizes in his range, in his strategy like I do. For example, here, if I'm Wishu, my bet size would be like 5 big blinds as isolation here. But maybe Wishu doesn't have the bet size. Maybe he only has like 3x or something like that. So if that's the case, limping is much better, because now you're not going to be facing as much pressure, and the pot will not be as inflated. So Pats is doing a great job here by realizing that he should develop a limping strategy, and he's gonna be limping a lot of good hands that he's planning to take the flop with, but it's also gonna be limping a bunch of trashy hands that he's fine just limp folding as well. So his range is gonna be wide here.
Right.
And now when he min bets the flop, I think it's a good hand to put in the check raise.
Yeah. I think if I had something like an overcard with the diamonds or spades or hearts, I would definitely go for raise. Although it probably doesn't matter all that much, really.
No, not that much. And here with this, when you have the backdoor straight and flush draw, and so just, yeah, for me, it seems like a better natural hand to just be aggressive, check raising on the pair board. Like if he has, even if he has something like Queen 9 suited, or or even if he has like a pocket pair, whatever. If he's facing a check raise here, you don't feel happy, right? So check raising and then just continuing on turns that are good for your hand, and giving up when your hand doesn't improve, he calls. Yeah, and you also have immediate fold equity. Like there's a lot of hands he min bets here and just folds right away when you check raise. So you turn the pair.
Well, so I was gonna say I think my fear here is that a lot of his limping range should have a lot of 10s in it to some extent. But I guess that just doesn't matter, because this is one of the very obvious hands that should just be bluffing.
Exactly. So this is one of the obvious hands that you should be very happy to check raise. But I'm with you. I think his limping range here contains a ton of 10x, like 10-8 suited, 10-9 suited, even 10-7 suited.
Right.
Jack 10, Queen 10, King 10 suited, Ace 10 suited, all of those hands are in his range. So that's a shit ton of 10x for his range for sure. So now he pots it after you just check call the flop, right? And here's the thing. Well, he probably realizes that he has a ton of 10x in his range. And since you didn't check raise the flop, he probably discounts a ton of the 10x from your range. So your range is maybe a few 10x that don't want to check raise the flop, like 10-3 or 10-2 suited. The weaker ones, of course. And then you have like 5x and you have like overcards. So your range is very capped. His range is fairly uncapped. So his bet size is really good. Now, we are never folding the turn now. I guess one bet with the 9, of course. So I like the call here. And then on the river, after we call the turn, what do you think about your range? Your own range, when you call the pot size bet, is much stronger, right? So now you have a lot of 10x that you only call the flop. You have 9x. You have a 5. You don't have a 5 anymore probably, and you probably have stuff like some slow plays like pocket 5s, for example. You can also have that in your range with some frequency here, but for the most part, your range is just is stronger, but it's also capped, right? But it's stronger than it was on the turn. And when you check, he goes for the overbet, right? So now he's overbetting into a range that no longer have that many 5x. So it's not like he's trying to make you fold a 5, right? These bets.
It is worth mentioning that Pads, I think, thinks I'm a little bit sticky, call happy. We've played quite a bit live. Now, I don't know what that necessarily means. Maybe it means nothing. So I'm always keeping that in mind. I think he would think that I could have some 5s here. Because, I mean, like on the turn, if he did have a hand like Jack 8 or 8-7, he's just going to keep betting it, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. Are you calling with a 5? Because, for example, I know that I'll probably still have some 5x in my range, but I think against the pot size bet, I'll think that you probably fold a lot of your 5s here on the turn. But I don't know. You know your range better, so I might be wrong here. But I think that your range on the turn mostly is 9x and weak 10x, and so looks like that. Just looks like a range that is condensed towards a weak 10 or a 9 a lot. And when he goes for the overbet, he's kind of announcing that I know that your range can call this bet, so I'll just go as big as I can to get value. That's kind of what it looks like to me.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course I could also be biased because I've seen the hand history before. But even when I was replaying it, I was like, I saw the bet and I was like, his range has so many 10x, right? And when he goes for the overbet after he pots it and then you call and goes for the overbet, it just screams value to me. Because also he's going to give up with stuff like hearts probably, right? Because
I don't know. If you give him a random heart draw here, or Queen Jack, or King Jack, or King Queen, assuming he bet it on the turn, which he may or may not. I mean, I would be shocked if he doesn't go for it again.
Yeah, but do you think he overbets? Because if let's say he has Queen Jack of Hearts, right? If he wants to make you fold a 5 or a 9, he doesn't have to overbet. He could just pot it again.
I mean, are you saying that you think his big bet size is only for value or mostly for value?
Mostly, I think in this, this is one of the situations. I don't think Pats is a bad player by any means. He's a great player, and I don't think he's unbalanced, but I think he's very good at exploiting, right? And this is one of the spots where I think it will make sense to pot it or to bet small when you're bluffing, just because also if he makes it small here, like less than pot, for example, he could also be evaluating other stuff like pocket pairs, like if he limped with, if he was trapping with kings pre-flop that he limped or whatever, for some reason, he could also value bet that. But when he overbets here, he's announcing that he has 10 or, something like king 10 or better, or, a good 10 or better. And yeah, I think exploitatively, it will make sense to mostly go bigger here in general with my value and just go slightly under with bluffs. That's highly exploitative, But I think that's the way many regulars will take this, will approach this spot. Yeah.
Okay,
So
well,
it's
you
just
probably
helps-
just maximally
yeah.
exploited me because I called.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's when it sometimes it's so obvious when they're going for it. Like a lot of good online regulars, like for example Ben CV, he what is the word? Well, he practices this a lot, and he also encourages his students to to mostly go betting bigger for value in general and betting as small as a bluff in general, and it's very difficult to really exploit that because these spots are so weird, don't come across that often. Like he goes for the overbet here, it's next in the future he goes for a pot size bet, and you know. And then and it's not like you're gonna keep track of everything that is happening. So I think it's very good spot for just go max exploit here and just bet bigger for value, smaller as a bluff in general.
Okay.
This king seven, see, the stack sizes. Okay, so now Pats is the chip leader here, and you just fold from the bottom. Actually, I think this fold is good. Now, yeah, this hand is probably bottom of range in regular GPP environment, and you don't really want to be playing many pots against Pats now that he's the chip leader. So probably folding here,
Yeah, I'm
and maybe
definitely folding
allowing
that.
Wilson. Yeah, and then allowing Wilson to probably jam with some hands and bust. Getting him the chance to bust against Pats or play a pot against Pats. So good. That's part of the strategy that people don't. I don't see people discussing as much in final tables. Folding here has increasingly good value, high value, because now you allow Puiso to play a pot against Pats. Now he has a limping range. He's going to be going to the pot, to the flop a lot of the time against Pats or potentially Boston. So we want him to play a hand against Pats, and that's a lot of value for us folding here.
Yeah, especially since he's like out of position here. I mean, that's against Pads, which is because he's going to limp or raise. Pads is going to call a lot. And then,
yeah, exactly.
Then sometimes something good happens.
Exactly.
So he jams, which is great.
Yeah, it happened this time. See, so this is great. So for example, here if you open the button, right? Now Weasel cannot really do anything from the small end with the ace-5. He just folds. So this is part of the strategic thinking you should have thinking forward with about the future hands. So just giving him the opportunity to bust against Pats is massive for you. So I was very happy to see the fold in the button, which for many people might be and just a easy open with no king seven. The bottom of range, you just open it. But yeah, I think this was great.
Well, so do you think we should ever have a limping range here?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Does king seven fall in it?
No, not offsuit. Maybe a suited one.
Suited
Yes.
one we would limp, but offsuit no.
Yeah, maybe suited ones. Yeah, what you can do here is, for example, you can raise for example, something like king 7 suited is a better raise than king 10 suited, because king 10 suited flops better, since when you limp, you're all out of the time going to end up playing three ways, right? Or if you limp and then somebody ISO raises you, king 10 suited is a much better limp call than king 7 suited. But with king 7 suited, you actually benefit more from a little bit more full equity. And so I mean raising the bottom and getting the small blind out of the equation, and then playing against the big blind, or just getting a fold when the big blind has some trashy hands. So I think in general you would like to split it differently. Now I will have to do more work on this. I need to actually create a lot of ICM situations for the upcoming tournaments that I'll be probably going on in Party Poker. So I'm in the process of actually doing a lot of charts for ICM in these situations. Okay, and see.
All right, so we're in the money. So now it's almost like
call.
I am the shallow stack. So now I kind of need to try to make something happen to some extent.
Yeah. Now we're on the money, so that a lot of the huge ICM pressure for the bubble is gone. Here with the ace-2 upper, just fold. Yeah, it's of course it's unlikely that all the money will go in and Pats will fold Wushu, but there is always a possibility. And ace-2 just plays so poorly. Wushu also is going to be fighting here with a lot of hands that dominate your hand. If anything, you could squeeze with it, like you just make it 7.5 big blinds or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think we'll just fold this one.
Yeah, so this is kind of like that king 7 just a second ago, except for, like, in my mind, this one's different because we're getting really good pot odds. And also I am the shortest of the stacks. Whereas in the previous hand, I was not getting pot odds. I didn't have any money in the pot. and I was a medium stack. So, but I mean, I agree this is not a good spot at all. Like, we're not loving this scenario.
Yeah, in general, when there are overcalls, folding the offsuit weak ace x and king x are these are not the hands that you want to take to the flop.
Yeah. If I had like king x, I would just fold for sure. But I don't know. Ace x is close. Okay. Anyway.
So here we raise and yeah, it's fine. But Pat has all the chips in the world, and I don't know if he makes it 8 or 9 big blinds. It's such a horrible spot for us. I think I'll probably just limp, and I'll be limping a ton of hands now.
And are we limp jamming or limp calling?
No, limp calling. Yeah, just taking the flop, probably. Yeah. Although
it seems like you
again,
you play a little bit more cautiously whenever you're the shallow stack than I do, for some reason. Maybe you are figuring out ways to not. Well, I mean, look, I realize 30 big blinds is not super shallow or anything.
Yeah, exactly. That feels like
it's almost like I'm thinking some here like a 15 big blind mentality or something like this.
Yeah,
you're thinking more of like 50 big blind mentality, and
yeah, exactly. Because if you play limp pots, your SPR doubles, right?
Yeah.
So in a limp pot, you have twice as many chips. So if you have 30 big blinds here, you're playing a lot of limp pots. It's like you had 60 big blinds. You just have so much room for post flop play. And it feels to me like a waste to try to get it all in with marginal hands, and when you can just play post flop. Also, I'm very confident playing limp pots out of position or whatever against pretty much any of these guys. And also, it makes sense if you haven't done a lot of work in precisely limp pots, stuff like that, because it's complex, right? All of these super wide range and all of this stuff is like very, very complex. But I've done the work, so I'm fine just taking these guys to the streets. But yeah, I see that. I wouldn't also just start limping a ton of hands. You have no idea what to do with them post flop or against raises or any of that. So it definitely takes to put in the work in those exact areas. Now the Acevedo on the flop is fine, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, checking could be fine too, right?
Yeah, but betting is good. With the ace or the king, you just have a massive range advantage. It just makes your hand easier to play because you just check. It kind of becomes too obvious, and it will be. I like it. I think just betting and then checking the turn is very, very good strategy with this hand right here. Potentially, particularly when this turn card comes, because now you are going to be checking an ace, of course, as well. So and you're going to be checking some flushes as well, maybe here. Just trapping or giving him room to start bluffing. So our checks is strong. It's not like we are checking, only a king X or whatever here. And it's not something that he can really take advantage of. And now you check again, which I think is actually not good. Now, when he checks back the turn, he doesn't really have many reasons to slow play anything. He has all the chips in the world, right? So if he has a flush or an 8, he just wants to stack you off or whatever. So he doesn't really have a strong hand, and it looks a lot like he has an ace here or a high card, and that's what he can have, some sort of showdown value, maybe a pocket pair, right? So for the most part, he has showdown value, and he's not going to bet if you check here. Right, there's not really any reason for him to bet with the range that he's checking the turn. If he was gonna bluff, I think he probably bets the turn with a ton of hands. Like, this is a great spot for him to just bet 25% on the turn when you check, and just take control of the hand and potentially bluff on later streets. So I think he's gonna be very heavily to be over bluffing here when you check, and when he checks, he just has something that has some sort of showdown value, right?
Yeah, probably has a lot of ace or ace king or queen high or something like this.
Yeah, exactly. So
and there's really no reason for him to bet all that on the river, so we need to be betting ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. We just have to pot it here, and if he has an ace, he probably just call it off. More often than not. Well, I don't know if he will call against you because you don't take these lines as often. But as a fact, I know that, for example, if he was me betting the big line, if I pot it, he has to call an ace, because if not, he's just being massively over bluff here, right? So. Yeah,
so I was checking here with the idea that, well, I mean, maybe I just think he likes bluffing more than than he actually does, because he's just played some insane hands against me. And like right here, I was kind of surprised to see him not bluff with the jack high, for example.
Oh, but yeah, if you think about it, jack high actually has showdown value.
No, I get that it does, but I'm surprised he didn't bet with it. And like clearly, I'm just leveling myself here for no reason based on past experience.
You think your range looks a lot like an ace?
I think my range looks a lot like an ace or queen high or a pair, a low pair.
Yeah.
You know, raise pre-flop with like pocket sevens, bet flop small, check turn, check river.
Yeah, I'm so surprised. I think maybe he just weighted your range more towards an ace.
Yeah, maybe
a lot here. Yeah, and he didn't feel like it was worth. Yeah, I think it's very close, bet or check. So I think it's totally fine. He has some showdown value.
Well, yeah.
But
Well, no. So I mean, he's chopping with everything because there's two pair on the board, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I mean, everything has showdown value.
Well, actually not, because the it's the pairs with the ace. So yeah, he's just chipping with a bunch of stuff here. Yeah, and
I guess I could have like nines that wins.
Yeah, exactly. Just think he's showdown here, and it will be, he will just get called by an ace way too often probably. Okay. That's what at least he probably thought. Similar here. Good spot to put in the check raise.
Yeah, this is probably even a better spot than the 10-10 something earlier, because now he should have fewer sevens, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now you have all of the sevens in the world.
He has fewer sevens. Yeah, this is about. I mean, so the thing is, like here I have two overcards, which is worth a little something, I guess. Maybe it doesn't actually matter. I mean, does it not matter all that much on the paired boards?
Doesn't matter what?
If I have overcards versus no overcards, like, is there a real difference here between 6-5 of hearts or jack 8 of hearts?
Oh yeah, because when you're jack 8, you block pocket jacks and pocket 8s that are never folding, and also when he has pocket 6s, you have two overcards to his pair.
Well, so that sounds like a reason to call, though, right? Because I have more equity.
Well, yeah, but there's so many better hands than jack high that you can check call here.
Yeah,
you can check call your queen highs, your king highs, your ace highs, and this jack 8 just doesn't seem like too good to be mostly check calling. Like I think probably you put this one in the solver as well, it's probably gonna be fine. But I mostly like check raising here because he's just betting here with everything probably.
Yeah, well, he's definitely betting with everything, that's for sure.
Yeah, and also, like, for example, you turn some equity, and now you have to fold, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you check raise, now you get to bet this turn card.
Right.
So there are better hands that you can call in the flop with intention of also calling again, even in bricks. But this one just seems to have enough going on to put in a check raise, improve on the turn sometimes, bet, or miss the turn and check and give up, or even get benefit from the middle full equity. Like if you bet here and you just get him to fold whatever he has with some frequency, it's also huge because you don't have a jack high. Okay, flop the nuts here, and you go for the bet. And I think this will be a good spot for to check and try to induce him, try to get him to bluff sometimes, because again, if you had the 6-4, I'll be more inclined to bet, because again, now if he has an ace, he's there folding an ace, but now with an ace in your hand, you block him having an ace high that will be calling here. So if you start betting, like, then there are really that many hands that he can call here, because if he had like two strong overcards, he probably raises pre-flop. He can have like a pair here, but a single pair is probably only calling like one street of value. You're not really getting that many streets. So I don't know, feels to me like a very good spot to just check call and then just let him try to bluff in a bad run out or whatever.
Okay.
Or even just check and let him spike something where he has jack 9 of spades here. Just let him make a pair on the turn, and then you can get a couple of street out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, this 7-4 suited seems too loose, but I think they are not being betting too many hands for what I've seen. So it's probably fine. Staying aggressive. It's a bit loose, but if they're not betting, which seems like it, then it's more decent spot. And now just see betting the flop. I think it's good. Yeah.
Do we need to go big there?
I think it's fine. Probably just only goes 1/3 in general, but it's actually a nice spot to to check out. I think I solved this one too. Queen 9. Queen 9. No, I think I didn't. Yeah. Yeah, but it's fine. Like you're gonna have like kings, aces, ace, king, king, queen, queen, jack, and then pocket nines, pocket three. So bet size, I think bet size, big bet size makes sense. Makes sense here. Yeah, probably go small if the flop was yeah, like queen a3 with no flush draw. So yeah, I think the big bet size makes sense here. Is fine. This should be a call.
Okay, so defend big blind a little bit wider against small blind raises, I suppose.
Yeah. You have jack. Jack to suit is a great hand actually to have on blind here. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a nice hand to put in the pivot from the small blind.
And are we jamming or are we 3-bet small? Well,
Dude,
not small,
you can make it 7.5 big blind, something like that.
Okay.
And then we rejam this ace3 here. Which is it's very weird because we give up ace8 here, and then we just rejam for 26 big blinds ace3, which is too massive of a jam to take with this hand, in my opinion. This should be just a fold, but probably you just realize that he's opening many hands. But if that's the case, should have 3-bet with the ace8, which is a very good 3-bet hand.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that has occurred to me at this point because I remember him just playing lots and lots of hands at this point, but maybe I wasn't aware of it then, but obviously I should have been aware of it then. So in that spot, should I be 3-betting small instead?
With the ace3,
like if I'm going to play it?
Yeah, you're going to play 3-bet small. Yeah, if you're not just fold. Yeah.
And I should be jamming the suited ones?
For 26, I think that's a bit too much, but maybe yes. Let me see, actually. I don't know exactly. We were 28. Let me see. 20, what? No, 33 actually. So we're 30 big blinds.
No, that's a different hand, I think.
Oh, with the ace 8 or the ace 6 or the ace
3 is the one I was talking about.
Okay.
So 26.
We are 26. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I guess that's the issue. Is that in my mind we were probably too deep to jam with the ace 8, and I wasn't really thinking 3-bet small with much of anything in that spot due to the ICM pressure.
Yeah, so you read all the small ones. You 3-bet the small with the medium ones and the big ones. And
ace 3 is just a fold. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, ace 3 is 4. Just fold. Yeah, ace 8 is actually at 25 you can rejam it. At 30, which was the hand before, yeah, we just 3-bet it.
Okay.
Okay. This one is fine. I like it. I think people miss these raises a lot with high-low cards from the big blind. See at the flop. I think it's fine. Yeah, this is a flop you get to bet, but at the same time, you could just check this one back because it's such a bad Jack X.
Yeah.
And if you get check raise here, it's just a horrible situation. Yeah, just checking back, keep the pot small. Keep his range wide. This is a good hand to limp. Well, actually, no, raise. Sorry, for some reason I thought it was ace 4. So it's good. We raise. And we bet small. I think we should be betting big.
Yeah, this is kind of like the ace 9 something, whatever we had earlier. Or last time, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
ace X just bet a little bit bigger in general?
Yeah, in general, when you have these structures like high, middle, low card, are really good to be betting big. Also, when you have ace high low as well. Yeah, ace high low, ace middle low are good structures to put in the 2 players bet size here. Bet small and get check raised. We call, which I think is fine once you bet small. If you bet big here, 2 turns and you get check raised, what's your play?
Probably call.
I think if you bet big like 2 turns and you get check raise, I like jamming.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about in this scenario. Yeah. So if I bet big, I would have just been in.
Yeah, exactly. I like getting in because you block ace 4, you block 8-4, and you also have every single flush to super crushed.
Right. But when you bet small, calling's fine.
Yeah, when you bet small, calling's fine.
Should we be jamming here on the flop?
On the turn, And the flop, no. When you bet small, he check raises you small. Like there's so much room for you to call in position. Yeah.
It's just always so
Betting is
unfortunate
small.
whenever he just bets turn and jams river and I miss, you know.
Yeah, just unfortunate, exactly. Easy call again, and then you just have to fold it. Sucks, but yeah.
Okay.
And he is totally fine. You just regen this ace-10 from the small blind. And unfortunately, we lose to king-queen. And that was it for this hand history.
Well, so this is good. So we definitely found a few spots where I'm probably making mistakes, usually where I have some hand that doesn't really have a whole lot of future potential, but usually it's facing a small bet or it's in position or it's getting a good price. And need to be defending a little bit more of those spots for sure. And also don't hero call as much.
This hand history, I think it was great, very interesting because you're playing against some very tough opponents. So we found some very interesting spots and some spots that even myself struggled with, with those obscure river lines and some of those type of fans that even myself, I struggled with. So good stuff. I think this was great. I hope we get to these type of reviews more often. I think people liked it as well. I want to thank everyone who's in the who assisted to this webinar. Thank you very much for being here. Are we going to do answers or questions? I don't know.
I mean, if you want to answer questions for about 5 or 10 minutes, sure, feel free. We can't go too long though.
Okay. Let's see some of the last ones. Fascinating discussion. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for being here.
Sorry to everyone for not going through all the questions. We realized that this was a long hand history review, so it is what it is this time. Michael's going to have plenty of webinars in the future where he can ask all the questions.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Well, so do you have are there any questions you want to address that you see there or no?
No, some of them are all regarding some hands, and it will be very difficult to get the context.
Okay. Well, good. No problem.
All right.
Thanks again to everyone for being here. We appreciate it. If you missed any of this, the review will be on Poker Coaching soon. Good luck in your games, and we will talk to you all later.
Cheers. Bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan Little. I hope you're enjoying the Thanksgiving Day Marathon. I hope you're soaking up all of this great content that we've produced over at pokercoaching.com. And I want to tell you about my Black Friday sale that's taking place right now, where you can get up to 78% off many of the amazing products I've made and my coaches have made over the last few years. So I'm just going to walk you through some of the offerings that we have. We have a bunch of stuff on cash games. I have a lot of videos that I've made about cash games. I've made a pretty good living from playing cash games. And I just have these series here, as you can see, where we discuss beating loose live games, beating tough games like the tough online games, beating 5-10 no limit at Bellagio. We have things going through live at the bike hands, using live at the bike footage. And these are all great resources if you are playing cash games, so check that out. Also, I have the 29-part cash game masterclass where I teach you how to crush cash games all the way up to 5-10 no limit live and medium stakes online. This extensive course has gone a long way to helping many of my students become professional poker players. And that's what I want for you as well. Studying the fundamentals, understanding how to play your ranges, and understanding how to adjust is vitally important. And that's what I teach you here. And also how to be a pro, which includes many things besides exactly playing good poker. There's a lot of good poker players, but a lot of them wreck themselves off the felt. And I make sure my students do not do that. We also have a lot of tournament content, including the Montreal Masterclass, where I go through many hands that I played on my way to what I think was a 8th place finish pretty recently in a WPT. We also have the WSOP preparation sessions, where I teach David Einhorn, preparing him for the $1 Million Buy-In one drop. That was actually a lot of fun. We worked together quite a bit. We went there, we were playing. He was in the middle of the pack going into the final day. I think 7 or 8 people returned for the final day and 5 got paid. And before the final table, I'm like, do you really not care about cashing? Because he donates all of the winnings to charity anyway. And he's like, no, I just want to win the bracelet. So he went in there and played like there were no payout implications. It didn't work out. He bubbled. But assuming there were no payout implications, I loved the way he played throughout that entire tournament. It's always good when I get to work with a student and help them significantly improve their skills. We also have reviewing the 2019 World Series of Poker main event final table, where I go through all of the key hands and explain what many of the players did right, and also, well, some of what they did wrong. Also, we have a poker coaching membership where you get access to loads of content. Also, we have lots and lots of classes. We have a monthly homework assignment that I go through and make sure all the students are playing well. We have a Discord channel. We have a vibrant community. All of that is there at pokercoaching.com. Regular price is $39 per month, but if you sign up for a 3-year membership, it's $299 for 3 years, which comes out to $8.30 per month. How much is that per day? Not a lot, like 30 cents per day. Hate to break it to you. If you have any desire to be good at poker, you probably need to be spending more than 30 cents per day on high-level educational content like we have at pokercoaching.com. Here's one of my students, Blaz Zerjau. You may have heard of him. He turned $5 into $1.3 million on Party Poker a few years ago. And then just recently, this last year, he turned $100 into $400,000 again on Party Poker. He says pokercoaching.com has helped him lay strong foundations to excel at no-limit hold'em games and to further work on his game with my help. He's absolutely crushing it. His results are not typical. I don't have results that good over the last few years, but he has been absolutely crushing it. He's been a poker coaching member for a very long time. So, for the first time ever, I made a gigantic tournament masterclass. This thing is over 30 hours long, not even including the many hand reviews that I made to go along with this, including wins in regular tournaments, PKO tournaments, and satellites. You can actually only get the Cash Game Masterclass if you are a member of Poker Coaching Premium. And normally, we charge $99 a month for Poker Coaching Premium. But if you subscribe for a 3-year subscription, you can actually get it for less than the regular price of the Poker Coaching Standard membership. You can get 3 years for $1,399. It's a little bit less than $39 per month. And if you want to get good at poker tournaments or cash games, well, this is for you. So let me tell you about the masterclass a little bit. Like I said, over 30 hours long. There are a lot of other training sites out there that want to charge you a bunch of money up front for about 8 hours of content, no quizzes, a few pre-flop charts. That's not what we're doing at Poker Coaching Premium. Here you get access to this masterclass, and so far, literally everything else we've discussed. So in this masterclass, I teach you how to play every stage of the tournament optimally, and how to maximize your equity. I go through pre-flop strategies, post-flop strategies. We compare the implementable strategy that I teach all of my students to use to the GTO solver to confirm that what I'm teaching is actually pretty close to the GTO strategy, but a million times more implementable, so you can pick the best or second best play in essentially every scenario you encounter. And if you do that, you're gonna be better than basically everyone you play against. We also discuss things like tells, mindset, finances, all of that. Everything you need to become a strong tournament player is included in this masterclass. It is big. It's a big course. It's not for everyone. If you want to, play poker 1 hour every 3 months, this is overkill. You don't need that. But if you have any desires to make significant money from poker, this is for you. However, like I said, this is not for sale. You cannot buy it anywhere. It is exclusively available only for Poker Coaching Premium members. And if you're already a Poker Coaching Premium member, you already have access to this. It's already included. Everything we've discussed so far is included. As you can see here is a brief table of contents. We discuss pre-flop strategies at various stack depths, because in tournaments you're going to be playing with various stack depths. We also discuss how to play after the flop. Every single one of these bullet points, such as when facing a bet on the flop, that includes multiple implementable strategies as well as pile solver strategies for numerous flops, numerous common scenarios you're going to be in, so that you know how to encounter, or you know how to play in many common situations that you will encounter. We also have plenty of turn strategies. The river strategy section is very, very interesting. We discuss how to structure your range intelligently so that whenever you're betting, you're going to be difficult to play against, and when you're checking, you're going to be difficult to play against. We also, of course, discuss ICM. That's how you play when there are payout implications. We discuss all sorts of various tournament formats, like progressive knockout tournaments and bounty tournaments and satellites, etc. We discuss other topics, like I said, mindset, finance, etc. And then we have a bunch of hand history reviews. As you see all of these, each of these hand history reviews is an hour or two long, where I go through all of the major hands that I played really over the last 6 months or so. All of these are pretty recent scores where I was just playing online and grinding it out. And we ended up winning a bunch of money, so that's lucky. Also, at Poker Coaching, let me tell you about all of our coaches. We have 12 coaches here with combined tournament earnings of over $50 million. Not too bad, right? We have Faraz Jaka, who is an absolute crusher. We have James Romero. He was one of the top 10 live players in the world pre-COVID. He is an absolute sicko. I got to play with him on Poker After Dark just the other day, and he put on a clinic. We have Bert Stevens. He was the #1 player in the world a year or two ago. Over the last 2 months, he has won multiple $10,000 buy-in tournaments online. He's doing it. He does live streams where we get to watch him playing these tournaments in real time and ask questions. Don't really know what more you want from the guy. We have Brad Wilson, world-class cash game player. He also has a great podcast. And as you see, many, many other coaches here. To highlight a few, we have Jonathan Jaffe. He has 2 WPT titles, an absolute sicko. Matt Affleck is a workhorse. He does weekly webinars with the students where he presents on whatever topics they ask him to present on. Usually these are scenarios like, what do I do when I'm 40 big blinds deep in the big blind, facing a continuation bet from someone who continuation bets at the optimal strategy. And he'll go through and show you using a solver how to play that spot, and then maybe how to play against them if they're continuation betting too often, etc., etc. We also have Michael Acevedo. He is the GTO master. He wrote the book Modern Poker Theory. And Lexy Gavin, she is a world-class cash game and tournament player. As you can see, all these coaches produce many, many classes, live webinars, live streams, all for the members. If you're a Poker Coaching Premium member, you will have full access to all of this too. Like I said, we have over 1,000 quizzes. These quizzes provide strong fundamentals to make sure that you are learning at pokercoaching.com. As you see, we actually grade you based on how you play each betting round. And you may find, hey, I'm really bad at the river. If you find that you're really bad at the river, go to the classes section, type in river, and you'll get content on how to play the river. We have an encyclopedia of content so that you can study whatever spots are giving you trouble. Like we said, you can get Poker Coaching Premium now for less than the price of Poker Coaching Standard if you sign up for 3 years. As you see, loads and loads and loads and loads of content. I didn't even mention our GTO preflop charts. We have extensive GTO preflop charts. There's an app for your phone. You can access those on your phone, and the vast majority of the material we discussed here. We also have 30-day challenges to give you little bits of content every day to ensure that you are working hard and developing good study habits. Because if you study even 30 minutes a day, every day, you're going to be really good at poker in about a year or so. So we make sure that all of our students are doing that. Like I said, you can get 3 years for only $1,399. Check it out at pokercoaching.com/Black Friday. And understand that I created Poker Coaching Premium to give you all the tools and training that you will ever need to achieve your full potential as a poker player. That is what I want for you. But if for some reason you think I have failed to deliver on that promise, I do not want or deserve your money. I am not running a training site here where I'm just trying to get your money up front and then quit poker and not teach you anything else and not provide additional content. We are consistently hiring the best players in the world to teach you how to succeed at poker. And if you think I fail at that, ask me for a refund and I will give it to you. No questions asked. You have 30 days after you sign up. If you don't like it, ask for a refund. No questions asked. You'll get your money back because, look, if I don't help you, I don't deserve it. Simple as that. I don't really know how I can be any more fair. So that's it. Hope you are enjoying this Thanksgiving Day marathon. Thank you very much for taking time to watch it. Hope you learn a little bit. Hope you learn a lot. You might as well. And again, if you want to sign up for pokercoaching.com to get access to all of this stuff that we've discussed, I know it's a lot, but if you want access to all of this stuff, go to pokercoaching.com/Black Friday. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of the show.